What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another module. Today, we're going to be talking about your follow-up email sequences, okay? So when it comes to you sending outbound cold outreach to these prospects that you are, ultimately trying to actually land booked calls with and have them booking in appointments into your calendar, there is a process to sending out these follow-up, emails. I know that when I started sending out emails, I got this completely wrong. I thought that I just had to gloat client results and share my process, and I just overshared, and it resulted in just not a very good response rate. First things first, right? Obviously, anyone can get emails opened if you have a good subject line, but if your emails aren't high quality in terms of the copy and the content that is inside of those follow-up emails, you're just not going to get responses. In fact, people will probably move you to the spam folder. They'll respond to you with unsubscribe, and they'll kind of be angry. So it's really important that you dial in the efficacy and how good your follow-up emails are. Okay, so today the itinerary is we're going to be walking through basically the four paths that your prospects will actually take when you are sending out these cold emails inside of your entire follow-up sequence. And then, of course, the follow-up email sequence SOP, what we have planned for you, okay? So the four prospect paths, okay? So there are only four paths that prospects will take when you're actually sending out emails. It's really, really simple that you understand this, okay? Path number one is they will respond and they want more information. Path number two is they respond and want to book a call right away. Number three is they respond and tell you to get lost. Number four, they don't respond and you get ghosted. Okay, it's very, very simple. Those are really the only four options of what people can actually do when you are sending out emails. All right, and keep this in mind. This figure right here, which is what I'm explaining, is this model is basically just showing you the outcomes of what can happen during your follow-up sequence actually sending or when it's completed. Okay, so as you can see, you've sent your initial cold email, right? And then your sequence is breaking down, and you have here path one, they respond and want more information. From there, you would want to basically send them over a Loom video of you walking through your offer, your guarantee, service, and result that you're providing. You want to keep this Loom video very, very short. I would say no more than 2 minutes, just because you have to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the person who is receiving this Loom video, right? It's easier for you to send a Loom video to somebody, but it's actually more work and more time for somebody to watch and consume that Loom video on their end, okay? So you have to be considerate of this fact, and vice versa. If you are just typing out an email, it's harder for you to actually type out just a fully written email to that prospect, rather than if for them it's much easier receiving that written email and actually consuming that content. Okay, so you have to be very, very conscious of this and the way that you conduct yourself when you're doing business over email. Okay, so if you're sending a Loom video, keep it very short. I would highly encourage you to also include some form of email copy in there as well too, just making sure you're providing some context to the Loom video and giving some more information where you see fit. All right. And then, of course, making sure that you leave a link to your VSL funnel, to your case study funnel, whatever you feel is necessary. Okay. Number two, okay, they respond and want to book in a call right away. Super, super simple. All right. So all you need to do is basically respond back, with excitement, and just send over your appointment calendar link. All right. Path number three is they respond and tell you to get lost. Okay. What I would do, and this is what we were doing when we started really optimizing our email campaigns in terms of our outreach, is we would basically just send a Loom video of us walking through the justification of how we feel so confident delivering, right? And I would almost approach it from a way, because obviously this person probably gets tons of emails. They're not actually a rude person, but they're probably just sick and tired of getting all these emails, right? So you have to put yourself again in their shoes. So we just remain calm. We send them over a very quick Loom video, about 1 minute long, because we don't want to take up much of their time. And we just communicate the fact that we totally understand where they're coming from, and sending over this Loom video to show them that we're not just some bot sending them a bunch of emails, or they're not in just some random email sequence, right? Just making them feel comfortable, and then just communicating why we're so confident at getting the results that we get. Okay, and that's usually just going over previous client results, and then breaking those down a little bit further. But you want to keep it short and you want to keep it quick, okay? And I would recommend having some email copy as well in this email as well, because again, a Loom video is harder for the recipient to actually consume compared to you sending it. It's much easier for you to send it. So have a good written out email as well too, that basically puts them at ease, tells them, listen, you understand where they're coming from, but you actually have some serious value to share. stuff like that. Okay. And then path number 4 is they don't respond and you get ghosted. Okay. So you might go through a whole email sequence. You might send out 10 emails in a matter of a month and nobody gets back to you. Okay. That's totally fine. You just need to basically move on from there. All right. It's as simple as that. If the person's not responding, they're not responding. Okay. You don't want to focus on things that are just going to suck the energy out of you. You want to just make sure that you're focusing on the higher level tasks. Okay. Focus on the people that actually desire your service. All right. And what I would do with all these people, right, especially the people that are in path number 3 and 4, is they should move into an email campaign that is more of a newsletter. Your newsletter that is just completely driven to add value. Every so often, you might drop the appointment link, but typically that's like every 2 to 3 emails, right? Most of the time, you're just adding an extreme amount of value. And whether that's sharing like your YouTube videos, sharing social media posts that you've made, dropping SOPs, whatever it is. Maybe it's a cool Loom video. Maybe you create like a mini course, whatever that looks like for you. The newsletter should always be driven around value. Okay. So the email sequence framework. All right. So understand that the follow-up is king. All right. So you must be willing to follow up when others are typically giving up. All right. This will put you in an ocean of prospects that are not being talked to or followed up with, for that matter. Okay. I'll tell you this, some of our biggest clients at the agency are ones that we've been following up with for a very long time. We actually just signed on a client recently. Right now it's April 2023. And we just signed on a client that we've been following up with for almost 4 months, which is insane. We had one client who is still around, massive client in their niche. And we were literally following up with them for like over a year and a half, not sending them weekly follow-up emails, but just monthly checking in with them and just making sure that they're all good. You know, the owner was really nice. He would always get back to us, but he was always kind of like delaying things, saying he wasn't ready, stuff like that. But we just kept following up. And that's just the point of being a really good salesperson, right? Ideally, if you're running and owning your agency, right now, if you don't have a salesperson or an SDR or an appointment setter in place, you are that salesperson. So you need to do everything that you can to oversee and manage your CRM. And that includes following up with people who have shown interest. But the problem is, they're just not ready. Okay. So you have to stay on top of that. All right. So here's what each email within a sequence should look like generally. And these are your follow-up emails. Okay. So you've already sent your initial message. And then these are just the emails that proceed forward. Okay. So the first things first is greeting. Okay. So personalize your first follow-up email always. If you personalize the second message to the prospect, this will increase the chances of them responding immensely. Okay. So you need to fill out, again, another Excel spreadsheet so that you can have the person's first name, personalized message, and ongoing. Okay. And then you can also mention that you are following up from the last message that you had sent. Okay. That's important because obviously you've already sent the first message. Just let them know that you're also following up from that first message. Okay. Opening statement. So this should be centered around your offer, your guarantee, direct service, or providing context to the last email if you left them with some important information. Okay. Next thing is your results. All right. So share some results that you've created for other business owners. Use written copy, images, videos, or GIFs. All right. So justification and social proof. So inside your results, because you are saying like, we've gotten these results for these people, or this is what we do in terms of an agency, in terms of a consultancy, this is what we offer up. You have to justify those results, right? If you're providing this amazing offer, this amazing guarantee, you have to justify it through your results. Okay. So then on top of that, you need to add more justification and social proof. All right. So not just sharing results, but maybe what other clients are saying as well too. If you have some client testimonial videos, drop those in there, right? Maybe you have a mashup of a bunch of different client testimonials. Drop those in there. Maybe people are writing reviews for you on Google or on Trustpilot. Drop those in there. All right. More justification. All right. And then your call to action, your CTA. Okay. So I advise to only ask for a response and to never drop your calendar link. Okay. I advise against dropping the calendar link because it's too pushy right away. And the reality is the prospect doesn't owe you anything. So asking for too much too fast can hurt you in the long run. All right. The thing with when you are sending cold outreach and you're just going straight in for the kill for like someone to book in a call, like you have to put yourself in their shoes. Like this person does not know you. They could care less about you. All they care about is getting the results themselves. So you have to do a good job of at least building some rapport with them, going back and forth and earning their trust to the point where they feel comfortable enough to reach back out to you, say, hey, listen, we feel good about like the email that you sent. Obviously, the results speak for themselves. We are interested in getting more information. That alone places you as more of the authority rather than just like telling them, leaving them with this like calendar link and relying on them to go in and book in a call, right? You have to think like, this isn't a VSL funnel where you're driving paid ad traffic or organic traffic to it. And the only way people can get in touch with you is to book in a call, right? You're not leaving them with another avenue to get a hold of you. This avenue for email is the best because it creates conversation, right? No conversation is being made if people are just going to your appointment link and booking in a call, right? Although that would be great, I actually prefer people respond back and let me know, like, yeah, you know what, like your email justifies like everything that you guys do, and we're excited to move forward. We want to actually meet with you one-on-one, chat with you more. Okay, so it's actually a good thing that you just remove the idea of leaving in an appointment link and just instead ask for their permission if they want more information or if they want to receive an appointment link so they can book in a call. Okay, very, very simple. So if you were to map out each email across an entire sequence, here's the best framework that my agency has found to convert prospects into booked calls. Okay, so we use this exact framework on a month-to-month basis. We're always tweaking things and adjusting things. So we will adjust this and the SOPs as we adjust our own. Okay, so we're only going to share with you guys things that we are doing that is actually working. All right. So in total, you're going to have about 10 emails. All right. That's how long your email sequence should be. I don't believe that you should have an email sequence any longer than this. That is just directly tailored towards getting people to respond back and for you to ultimately book in a call with them. If people aren't responding after 10 emails, they're not responding for, if you send 100 emails, all right, it's only going to be negative feedback. So what you want to do is you want to have these 10 emails set up. Okay. So email number 1 sent initially, that's your intro email. All right. We've already gone over that. Email number 2, send 2 days after, which is basically how you can help their specific business, the exact results that you basically generate, provide proof of results, and justify your results. All right. Email number 3, again, send 2 days after. Simple email asking for the prospect's attention. Example, this is, just bumping up this to the top of your inbox. Okay. We do a lot of these emails in between because especially after like the first 2 emails, because you have to think like, if you are sending a ton of emails that all kind of sound the same, like you're just talking about like, oh, more results, more justification, blah, 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 blah. It's going to get annoying. It's going to seem like a bot is sending it. It's going to seem like it's automated, right? So a human, if they're just genuinely, like following up with someone, they're going to say, hey, listen, like we understand you're busy, just bumping up this email to the top of your inbox to hopefully, make sure that you see it. Have a great day. Hopefully we can get in touch. And that's it. Like that's literally your email. So it's super, super simple. You just want to keep it genuine, right? Most of the time, like this is one of the greatest things that I've learned about like running my agency as a whole. And you can literally apply this into any department within your agency. Most of the time, success relies on actually subtracting things from what it is that you're doing rather than adding things into what you're doing, right? I think us, especially for, those of you watching this, and I'm assuming that's, 100% of you, if you've ever worked in a job where, they incentivize you to kind of like grow that corporate ladder or climb that corporate ladder, your mindset is framed in a way to add more onto your plate. You have to acquire more responsibilities, add more things onto your plate in terms of like the responsibilities you're doing, the tasks that you're doing on a daily basis, all this stuff, right? You're adding onto your plate. Whereas when you're a business owner, the best way to do it is to actually simplify. And simplifying means subtracting. Okay. So you actually need to remove the fluff and remove the friction, which is typically stuff that you feel like you're, adding into place to add value, but it's actually just causing more friction. Okay. So subtraction more than addition. All right. So I'll let you guys basically go through this entire document. But as you can see here, we have basically the timeline kind of split up in between like 2, 3, and 5 day increments, right? So the first 4 emails are sent, within 2 days of each other. Not within 2 days of each other, but 2 days after one another. And then at email number 5, start sending about 3 days after, just so you're not bombarding their inbox. And then we have a few emails going out 5 days after as well too, with the final email going out 3 days after the 9th. Okay. So very, very simple. I'll let you guys basically walk through this exact template. Again, this is what we are using at our agency and it's getting a very good response rate. Okay. And like I said, we will update this on a quarterly basis along with the entire program, all the modules, all the videos that we have here. We're going to update it for you guys on a quarterly basis, just to make sure you're getting updated information on what we're doing as an agency and consultancy to basically get results. Okay. So if the prospect still hasn't responded after email number 10, you can move them into your newsletter, like I had mentioned, and you can still reach out to them in the future. Okay. This doesn't mean that this prospect is like, gone forever, but it just means that right now you just need to give them time, put them in your newsletter, plant those seeds, nurture them a little bit more, and just give them unsolicited value. Right. If you are giving away the barn and you're just giving away what other people on the internet are selling for like $2, $3, $4, $5, even $10,000. If you're just giving them free value and you're giving away for free, they will become a part of your audience and they'll warm up to you. And then that's when you can actually go in and monetize them. Okay. So the facts and goals to set with email outreach. All right. So you'll constantly be revising your email copy after each sequence you send. Typically, me and my team will rewrite our email copy after we've sent to about 500 contacts. 500 contacts is typically a good test data amount for us to say like, okay, like how's our response rate? And when we utilize the same framework and frame of mind for when we approach our subject lines as well too, like how is our open rate, right? So 500 contacts will give you some good test data. Okay, so always be testing with your emails. Creating your emails and inputting them into your email campaign software can be a manual process. I know this because I used to be the person doing it. And it takes up time. So plan to eventually outsource this role to someone within your organization. This person might be your CMO. It might be your COO. Just have somebody that manages this for you, ideally in the future. Okay. Typically, when you start to get to that point in your agency where you're doing, 10 to 15K a month profit is when you can start to outsource like these tasks. That is like someone who is an outbound client acquisition specialist, right? So they're the person that is maybe managing your social media DMs. They're reaching out to potential prospects. They're sending the emails. They're managing your email sequences, all these different things. Okay. And then basically email outreach is it's simply a numbers game, right? So you're going to have to utilize, softwares like Apollo or Hunter.io, Snow.io, hiring Upwork freelancers who are scrapers, right? So just constantly making sure that you're getting an abundance of email contacts for your ideal audience so that you can, be reaching out to new people, new businesses that are starting up in the coming years. It's kind of the beauty of, businesses. It's almost like an endless pool of customers because there's always people starting new businesses, which is amazing. Okay. So just make sure that you're always getting new contacts into your contact list and be sending out more and more emails and just always be testing. Okay. So in terms of some hygiene numbers, all right, so you should be aiming for an open rate of above 70% or more on all emails. And I know that this is a very, very healthy standard to be aiming for. But again, and even with the next figure, I'm going to show you guys, like these are healthy standards because this is what you need to be striving for and pushing for. Okay. Me and my agency have done it. We don't do this consistently, but these are always the health standards that we are aiming for. Okay. The hygiene standards are 70% open rates, which tells us that our subject lines are really, really good. You will see above that if you are utilizing the subject lines that we have gone through in previous modules, like especially if you're communicating that like you're a close contact and things like that, like you'll get above an 80% for sure. Okay. Aim for 20% response rates. Again, this is a very, very good response rate to get from people, right? And this figure would include both positive and negative feedback. People that are saying, yeah, like people that are in the first two paths, and then also people that are in the third path. Okay. So you need to keep this in mind. So that's a really good hygiene standard is 20% response rate. All right. So I'd rather somebody at least respond back to me with negative feedback or tell me to like stop sending them emails rather than just ghosting me. Okay. So if you're getting a 20% response rate, obviously filter that. Like if a ton of people are telling you to like screw off, then you need to like reframe the way that you've built out your emails. Okay. But at least aim for a 20% response rate. All right. So action steps for today. So begin writing out your emails in terms of your follow-up emails, proofread them, make sure that they're emails that you yourself would actually respond to. Okay. Split test your subject lines, make sure that they're optimized for the open rates of, the 80% open rate, and then run split tests on your emails as well too, to make sure that they're optimized for response rates, specifically a 20% response rate. Okay. Very, very simple. Guys, like I had mentioned, I think I touched on this, but just to reaffirm this into your guys' heads, less is actually more. Okay. Do not write novels of emails. Okay. Nobody wants to be going to their computer on a Monday morning or a Wednesday morning or a Friday morning, and the first thing that they see is this email from a person that they don't know. And it seems like a good email because, again, you've used the subject lines that we've kind of given you guys in terms of, placing yourself as like a close contact. They open up the email and it's just this like long novel. Takes like 10 minutes for someone to read, massive paragraphs, just tons of fluff. There's a Loom video. Like, nobody should be sitting through 15 minutes of content in your guys' follow-up emails. Okay. Max they should be sitting through is like 3 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes at the absolute max. Okay. You do not want someone sitting there just like consuming like an egregious amount of content of yours. Okay. And again, I can say this because I used to do this. I used to wonder why no one responded back to my emails. And then when I hired my first coach, we broke down my emails and he literally laughed at me because it was just like novels. It was a novel email. Okay. Less is more, keep it simple. And I promise you'll start to see a better open rate and a better response rate. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoy this module. Go into the Discord channel and I highly encourage you guys, if there's any questions you have around your intro emails, your follow-up emails, your subject lines, anything, drop those questions in the Discord. Either my team or the community itself will be able to help you guys out because I assure you, we are crushing it in terms of emails, and there are probably many other community members crushing it as well too. So we have tons of information in there and tons of value to share with you guys. Okay. So drop your questions in the Discord and we will see you guys in the next module. Have an amazing day.